that proved the voice's existence. One addressed directly to him. He said to me it was probably paranormal voices, which can be interpreted as voices from the dead. And he said, this is the most important discovery in the parapsychology history.
Hey guys, thank you for chiming in. This is my third podcast. My name is Mario, and I basically talk about everything that has to do with the spirit world, spirit evidence. I am not here to bring you any snake oil or to show you any gadgets and tell you that it's a ghost talking about celebrities. I'm not here to show you any evidence that I think might be fake. I just want to go over real hard spirit evidence, ghost evidence, whether it's my evidence that I've gathered from the past, whether it's somebody who wants to share it. This is a station I've created, and it's all about just evidence, ITC. It's about EVPs. Whoever wants to share their EVPs with us. Obviously, you have to have the consent of the person. If you did an investigation at a residence, you definitely need to have the consent of that person. If it's a private investigation, you need the person's permission. If it's a public place, well, hey, if you can share that with us, then everybody here would appreciate it. The listeners, I would appreciate it, as I love to listen to spirits who are trying to communicate with us. Of course, with all the best intentions. That person you were just listening to, by the way, that was Anders Leopold, and I found a little snippet on YouTube, and he was basically going over a book that he is trying to promote. He wrote a book on Fredrik Jurgensen, and Mr. Fredrik Jurgensen is the Swedish father of electronic voice phenomenon. He basically, as far as recorded history goes, he's the one who brought EVPs to the limelight. He had this recording, and he showed it to the public, and that's how he got his name in the book of history. So story goes that when he did catch his EVP, he was recording bird songs in the wild. So he liked to record bird songs, and while he was doing this, his mother's voice came through. While he was doing the recording. Now, I couldn't find a clip of this recording. I would love to find that clip. If anybody out there has this clip, please share it with me. And on my next podcast or the one after that, I will definitely bring it to you guys, and I'll play it. Now, what I did find is I found an article. It's an article on sonoloco.com. But anyways, just try to Google it. I'm sure you can find a couple different articles out there. The EVP that he recorded when he was recording these wild bird songs was his mother talking. He heard his mother's voice, and she said,
"Freedom, can you hear me? It's Mommy."
Can you just imagine your mom who's passed away? You hear her coming through a bird, some bird songs, and all of a sudden you hear your mom say that. I mean, that just makes my hair, the hair on my arms just stand up. So Friedel was his mother's special name for him. So that's what she called him. That was that was a little nickname she had for him. So it sounds like he also, I'm just reading this again, I'm just going off this article, but he also published a book called Voices from Space in 1964. So really awesome. I mean, Fredrik Jurgensen, you're the man. Very, very cool that he was able to bring this to everybody and share this with everybody. He's probably, if it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't be where we're at now with a lot of the awesome ITC tools we have and the way we record the spirit realm. But anyways, so I just wanted to dedicate this podcast to ITC. I myself, I love ITC. Ever since I was young, ever since I had my first Atari, I think it was like an Atari 2500. So yeah, I guess I do have a geek side to me. I hate to admit it, but I was, I've always been kind of a closet geek. Since I was about 9 or 10, I had an Atari 2500 computer. Like, I think that's when the Commodore came out. But I've always liked electronics. I've always liked computers. I'm gonna take a little drink of my tea. I'm getting over a cold, guys, so please excuse me. Okay, anyways, just going through some record of ITC and how ITC came about. I did find a list of different things I'm going to share with you guys. It looks like the very first time a spirit voice or somebody actually experienced something, not recorded. The recorded one came from Mr. Jurgensen, but the first time in history that somebody actually experienced something in history, other than Ouija boards, guys, because we know Ouija boards go back a long time. But in 1910, it looks like priest Roberto Landel, he was seen communicating with spirits through a small box. Landel would speak to the box, and the box would answer him back. So the priest he wouldn't share this with anybody. He didn't share this information regarding the box of spirit voices, but apparently people did witness him talking into a box, and the box would talk back to him. That was 1910, priest Roberto. 1920s. Now this, I have heard about this. I've had discussions about this with other former people who I used to know in the paranormal. But Thomas Edison, the great American inventor, he also came up with the instrumental transcommunication device, or he was trying to come up with with an instrument to communicate with the dead. Some called it the Edison's telephone to the dead. That was in 1920, based upon several quotes from Edison himself. Edison quoted, this is quoted from Edison, sorry. If our personality survives, then it is strictly logical or scientific to assume that it retains memory, intellect, other faculties, and knowledge that we acquire on this earth. Therefore, if we can evolve in an instrument so delicate as to be affected by our personality as it survives in the next life, such an instrument, when made available, ought to record something. He was definitely onto something. I don't think it's been proven that he actually had something. I don't think he brought it out to the spotlight, but he was onto something. He was probably doing his own little research in his lab. So Thomas Edison, thanks again, buddy. He also had a little bit to do with that. Anyways, we can go ahead and just we can just go ahead and assume that a lot of people out there started doing their own types of little ghost boxes. But then now one other person, and I think I've mentioned this in my last podcast, was Frank Sumption. Frank Sumption came up with the Frank's box. It looks like he came up with it in 2002. Frank's box is pretty much the grandfather of the PSB-7, which is our little digital radio scanner, which creates white noise. It goes all the way from 300 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds. That's the PSB-7. And comparing the Frank's box, kind of did the same thing, but it was a little bit more antiquated. I know, like in 2000, people were buying their radios also from Radio Shack, and they were hacking the radio. As came the term the Hack Shack. So I've known people in the past that showed me how they did the Hack Shack. I haven't actually done a Hack Shack. I have a PSP-7. I do have a PSP-7, and I love my PSP-7. I haven't used it that much lately, but I am going to definitely go out there soon, guys. And when I do go out there and I do some investigating, I'm going to come back and I am going to show you guys some really good evidence. I'll just filter out the crappy stuff, and I'll come back and I'll share with you guys whatever I come up with. Share it with you here, and I'll probably put it on my website. If you guys don't know yet, I have a website. It's called parasitech.com. That's parasitech.com. That's PARASITECH.com. I'm sorry, PARASCITECH.com. You can also shoot me a line there, and if you have anything you'd like to share with us, I could definitely try to make it possible after I filter through your emails. And I'll even love to have you guys on the air too. So if you have any evidence or anything you'd like to share, go to my website, email me, and I'll try to get you on here. Anyway, so it's just amazing. It's just amazing how far we've came. 2018, we have all these awesome shows. We have all these amazing shows on TV now, where we can just go on there and just see people, just recorded groups going out there with all these cool gadgets, recording voices in the dark, voices in the corner that have probably wanted to speak for a long time, and they get their chance in the spotlight. Pretty cool. The only thing I really do not condone, and I hate it, I really just, I can't stand. There's been a few shows in the past where people go out and they purposely say the stupidest, most offensive stuff just to get just a little bit of evidence so they can put it on the air. So it just really ticks me off. How can you go somewhere that you've never been to before and step on that property and just start offending spirits so they can so you can try to get their reaction, kind of poke at them to see if they can say something, like you're at a zoo or something. So I don't condone that. I'll just tell you, it's not any one of the new shows that are out now, or any of the shows that are still surviving now. Some actually, the one that I'm referring, there's one that I'm referring to, and that one died. I haven't even heard from those guys in years. But I'll just say Zach Bagans. I think he's awesome. I think he's super cool. And I'm not just a freaky fan saying that, but the guy's pretty legit. When he started out, he was a little aggressive when he would go to some of these places. But see, that's the thing. I think he was just being aggressive, aggressively trying to get evidence. But he wouldn't just blatantly just go somewhere and just start, calling them a bunch of names, unless it was, I know he's done that when it's been like, when he's dealing with a spirit of a malevolent nature, or just somebody who was a real ass when they were alive, and the spirit's still harassing people. But anyways, yeah, those guys, the GAC crew, along with Bill Chappell, I completely have much respect for them, as they've brought a lot of these newer ITC tools that we have into the spotlight, and I'm just really amazed by just the newer tools that we have, the Ovilus, just how we can make out words on a device that picks up. I'm guessing it's static energy that creates these words, and you can see these words right there on the palm of your hands. That's pretty awesome. I don't own one yet, but I know soon I will get one, probably a lot sooner than later. And then you got the SLS cam, which again I would love to have that one, but I think that one's pretty high up there on the price. So I don't know how long it's going to take me to get one of those, but SLS cam is amazing. I just love how you can record entities and actually capture the just the not the full shape, but you can actually see if it's like a big entity, if it's a small entity, which is kind of freaky, especially when you get those really small ones. It just really makes you kind of scratch your head and wonder what the hell is that. But for those of you who are familiar with the spirit world, spirits aren't always from Earth. There is spirits that they're not earthbound, or they never were earthbound at any time, and they could have came from they could have I don't want to throw religion out there, but when you see those little things on the SLS cam, it makes me think it's a demon or something that came from the dark side. But the SLS cam is super cool, and hopefully one of these days, pretty soon, I'll grab one of those. Now, as far as applications go, just till recently, I started becoming a little bit more of a fan of applications, and I've got a couple on my phone that I've been trying out over the last couple of months. I've had this one for a really long time, and I've only used it a handful of times, and that's the Echovox. Echovox, I like the Echovox. I like that it's got so many features and functions on it. I'm actually looking at it right now. It's got echo on it. You can add echo. It's got delay. You can also save your files. It's got a file browser. And looking at it again, I'm like, man, why haven't I used all these features on here? It's got speed control, mic gain. It's very, very user friendly. I did purchase this application probably about a year ago. If you get the full, I don't even think there's a free one, but it's pretty cheap. I think I paid probably about $15-20 for it, and it's pretty amazing. You can share your recorded. If you have something recorded, you can share it. You can switch banks. You can switch to bank A, switch to bank B, and that's pretty much it. It's got a little handy link there too, where it'll take you to other applications. So the Echovox, I like it. I've used it a few times. Only a handful of times have I caught any type of evidence on there. And then there's a couple of other ones. There's a person out there on YouTube, and his name is Mr. Steve Huff. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of him. He has I think one of the things that probably, to me at least, that kind of made him stick out so much was his Wonderbox. He's got this thing called the Wonderbox, and it looks like an Android tablet connected to what it looks like to me as a musician, because I've been a musician. I was a musician for a long time, played guitar for a long time, and it seems like it's an Android tablet with using some of these applications connected to a compressor, connected to a phaser, noise gate probably behind it. It's probably got some reverb. Well, it definitely has reverb because you can hear the reverb. And what I'm guessing is the reason Steve Huff added all these sound effects and enhancers is because it allows I guess it kind of allows the voices to kind of come through a little bit more clear. I guess it gets the white noise and it kind of plays with it. It kind of filters it, and it makes the white noise stick out a little bit, so you can hear some of these messages from the other side. While I was looking at Steve Huff, I did notice on some of his videos there was a couple of applications that he uses. He uses it, and a few other people that jumped on YouTube, I've seen them use it, and I think they're pretty cool. I've tried a few of these out. The first one I tried out was the Banshee. Well, that's the first one I'm going to talk about. Not necessarily the first one I tried out, but all right. So we got the Banshee, and what that does is it scans through IPs. So I guess it just scans through random interweb IP addresses. So it probably just scans the web, and it gets little snippets from the web, and it scans through a range of probably IPs, and it looks like it scans back and forth. That's the Banshee. The Banshee's pretty cool. The Banshee reminds me a lot of what Steve Huff uses on his Wonderbox, which is the main one that he uses is the Portal. It's called the Portal. You can find it on Steve Huff's website. And hey, that's some free ad reviews there for you, Steve. So it's called the Portal. It's an amazing application. I like the messages that you get on that. They're pretty clear. It's I'll go ahead and open it up. It's I'll be honest, it's been a little while since I use it. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like it goes up to 1,000 milliseconds, and this one, I actually read on Steve Huff's website a little bit. I kind of briefly read it, and this one actually, I think it's a whole bunch of sound. It's a bunch of sound banks that he has recorded. So I'm guessing it's a big, huge sound bank of conversations, and they play them backwards. So it's basically a bunch of words being played backwards, and if you get an actual word out of that, then legitimately that should be that's got to be a message, right, guys? Right. That's what I was wondering. So, anyways, that is called the Portal. Pretty cool. And there's one. And I'm trying to remember. I think I downloaded this to my phone. This one's like really freaky. It actually recites the Lord's Prayer backwards. Why you would want to do that, I have no idea. I've got no idea. I am a religious person, and I'm not gonna go too deep into that, but to me, that's a little bit of blasphemy. It's a little blasphemous, but I don't think I think I tried it out once or twice, and I took it off my phone just because of the nature of how it works, the logistics behind it. I don't see why you would play the Lord's Prayer backwards. Now, I'm not really 100% sure if it is a crossbox that does that. There's also another one called the Vortex. The Vortex. Let me just take a look at this.
Vortex.
And this one, the Vortex also scans through IPs as well, which is pretty cool. See, I like these. I like the ones that scan IPs. I like the ones that scan the radio waves, because basically what it's doing is it's creating white noise, and it's scanning through a bunch of stations. So if you get a clear, concise word that goes through there, or if you get a small sentence, for sure that's going to be pretty hard evidence that you're getting. So some of these are pretty neat. I know there's a ton of applications out there. As I was just trying to verify the crossbox for you guys, and I just saw just way too many applications for me to even go over. So I'm only going to talk about the ones I've used. The Vortex. I have used the Vortex. I would like to say one thing. There's some applications that aren't meant for the paranormal, and those are the best ones that I like. Those are the ones that you have to get creative with, and those are the ones that if you use your creativity and you use these simple apps and you use your cameras, use your night vision, any cameras that you have in the vicinity, you can point it towards your phone, have your Android phone or your tablet, iPhone, iPad, whatever. And if you use these little simple apps, you can review that, and you can check it out and get some evidence. What I'm talking about, what I'm referring to is there's one that I've used several times, and this one's basically called the vibrometer. Now, I saw an episode of Ghost Adventures. I'm not sure if what Zach Vagans was using. He did mention that it was something to measure vibrations. So I'm not 100% sure if it was a vibrometer. But when I saw that episode, I downloaded that. And that is an awesome little app. It's very simple. And what it does is it measures the vibration on the ground or on a table. Anywhere you're at, it'll measure vibrations. This episode really intrigued me because it was at the Omen house, the Sharon Tate house. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's where Sharon Tate was murdered by the Marilyn Manson crew. I believe she was a model, and she was and she was an aspiring actress back in the 60s. She was murdered. This person by the name of David Oman was living in the house at the time that the Ghost Adventures came. When the GAT crew went over there, Zach Bagans, he found a spot where David Oman was. David Oman basically told him there was a figurine. There's this figurine. It was a Beetlejuice figurine, really creepy looking. I have no idea why the hell the spirit picked this ugly, super ugly figurine to mess with, but this little figurine, very interesting enough, was sitting on top of an aquarium. A big, heavy. It looked to me like I have an aquarium. I have a 45-gallon. And that looked to me like it was either a 45 or a 50 or actually even bigger. It looked like a big aquarium. It could have been between 50 to 60 gallons. So that's pretty heavy, 50, 60 gallons of water in an aquarium. It's going to take a lot to knock something down on top of that aquarium. He also had it full of figures up there. So Zach Bagans got this vibrometer because David Oman kept saying that for some reason the spirit didn't like that figure and would come by and knock it over. I remember Zach Bagans jumping up and down in front of the aquarium while the figure was standing there. The figure didn't even move. So that's pretty weird. So jumping up and down, nothing would move that figure. Full of figures up there. So Zach came and placed his vibration meter app on top of the aquarium, and they had a camera which was pointing towards that location. After it didn't happen, obviously, like anything in the spirit world, it doesn't happen right on cue. But after a few hours of recording, they came back, they replayed the video, and they got the figure falling down. And I'm trying to remember, trying to go back to my memory bank. I think he looked at he went back and looked at the tablet, and or phone, whatever, it was an Android device. He went back and looked at it, and when he looked at it, the only spike, there was a small spike on there, but there wasn't a bunch of vibration. It was just a small signal of when the figure fell. So there was no vibration. So that just goes to show you something had it out for that figure and knocked it down. Again, vibrometer. It basically measures vibration. Very simple little tool. I actually got it for free on my phone. I also there's another one I recently got, which is a sound meter. And the sound meter, I guess it would come in handy if you're listening to EVPs. If you see it kind of have a small little spike, I guess if it's below the threshold and you see a small spike, it's got to be dead quiet, and then that could possibly be something. Maybe if you see it spike, you can go back and review your digital recorder or your voice recorder and see if during that spike you got something. And you could probably also use it for areas that might have a little bit too much noise pollution. Using that sound meter will help you determine, or just figure out whether you're going to do an investigation there or not, just because the sound might be a little too much. Anyways, guys, there's a lot of applications. There's tons of applications. Another one I'm going to touch on is the EMF detector on Android tablet, and I'm sure again they have it on the iPhones or the iPads. EMF detector, I've used it several times, and I can tell you it's not accurate. It does work. It does work. but the validity of it, the how just how accurate it is, I don't think it's that accurate. If you put it side by side with an actual EMF detector, it just doesn't add up. And you can actually get a really good EMF detector online. I got mine for about $20 on Amazon. They're not that expensive. That one is it's accurate. I know they have more expensive ones, but that little simple device is probably one of my favorite ones in my set of investigating tools. Again, it's called the Ghost Meter, and you can get it on Amazon. I don't know if it's still the same price. I spent about $25 for mine. Not too expensive. Ghost Meter is pretty awesome. It's pretty simple. It just basically it just has just beeps and it lights up, and it's got a little meter on it. If you listen to my second episode, that Ghost Meter is actually what helped me capture that amazing last recording that I played back for you guys with that ghost that came back and told me that he lives there. So you guys need to go back and listen to that. I actually after I listened to my episode myself, I went back and I took a listen, and I was like, man, I didn't tell those guys the message at the end of that. But anyways, yeah, it's a very clear spirit voice that comes through on my digital recorder. You can hear it. If you bump up your volume, you'll hear it say, "I live here," which is freaking amazing. It's one of my classic EVPs. Anyways, yeah, we went over ITC. I know it's been a little bit here, a little jumping all over the place, but we went over a few things. EMF detector on the phone. No, don't do it. I wouldn't do it. Ghost radar. I have no comment on that one. No comment at all on that one. SG2 spirit box. My opinion is pretty good. Not too bad. Any one of these IP scanners, radio scanners, or voice banks that play back and forth. It's white noise. If you play it nice and loud, you could probably add a little boom speaker to it, and you can catch something. So, all right, guys. Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and head out. I'm gonna get back to the boring chores of the day, my honey-do list. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I appreciate all you guys, all my listeners. Every time I see there's a new listener, it just makes my day. I'm new at this. I'm trying to do the best I can to just bring paranormal talk to you guys. I've been doing it for a little bit, but now I'm just trying to get back in it and at the same time share my experiences with you guys. All right, guys. Deuces. Peace out, and you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you.
The result was almost shockingly for Hofbender. Then it was made several recordings that proved the voice's existence. One addressed directly to him. He said to me it was probably paranormal voices, which can be interpreted as voices from the dead. And he said, this is the most important discovery in the parapsychology history.